So I just look back and see how far I've come. And with that, see how far I can go. That's another reason I push, because, hey, I've come this far. Let's see how far we can take it.
One action. Hey guys, welcome back to Keep It at 99, here with another episode. And today I'm here with a very special guest, returning guest, Felipe. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Isaiah. How you been?
I've been good, man. How have you been?
Dude, good. Cannot complain.
Yeah, I mean, the last time you were here, we had another host.
Yeah.
He's since left. Now he's making a ruckus in the back.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you for joining.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So today's topic is about self-motivation. We're talking about how to, kind of get yourself motivated, and how to take those steps to kind of improve yourself and improve who you are and all those things. So my first question for you is, where do you find your source of self-motivation?
Where do I find my source for self-motivation? That is a good question. Well, I mean, like it says in the question, self-motivation, right? So, really from myself. Peace out, bro. I mean, like you said, where do I find motivation for my self-motivation? Is that what you asked me?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Well, I mean, again, like, it comes from it's... Dude.
So how do you like create that drive to have that self-motivation? Like, where does that come from? Like sure it's like self-motivate, like you're motivating yourself.
Like what pushes me? Like, why do I want to do it?
Yeah.
Like, why do I have the motivation?
Yes.
Dude, I'm not gonna say I just like have it, or I just feel like it would be detriment, like it would be against myself if I didn't. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I would be doing myself a disfavor.
I think
disfavor.
Yeah.
Disfavor, right? Is it disfavor? Disservice. There we go. I'd be doing myself a disservice if I didn't do the, if I didn't go to the gym, if I didn't work, like it doesn't even have to be stuff like that. Just like, if I didn't wake up in the morning and get out of bed and, get my day started. If I just laid in bed all day and didn't really do anything, I'd be doing a disservice to myself. So it's more like the motivation comes for me trying to become a better person. So it's more like, it's just like, if I really look at it, it's like, would I rather be successful, be wealthy, have a good body, be healthy, or would I rather just be lazy and like sit in my room and live off my parents?
Your motivation comes from the people around you.
Yeah.
Comes from your environment.
Like your parents being like, hey,
exactly.
Do this, do
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So how do you transition from that, like people kind of pushing you, to you pushing yourself?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say, I feel like there's a lot of kids our age that still aren't pushing themselves, right? It's their parents that are, like even if it comes to like grades or anything, it's their parents that are still pushing them. It's more of a, like you have to become, it's like a maturity kind of thing, I feel like, If you really like think about it, when you're a little kid, right, like you were saying, right, you just listen to what your parents tell you to do, right? So that's going to be where you get the source of motivation. When you're our age, I'm not going to say you can make all of the decisions you want, but right, you're more free to do what you please, right? So you just have to, realize what you want to do in life. And then with that, like if you're an athlete in school, do you want to go D1, right? Or do you want to just play, just varsity or JV or whatever, right? If you want to go D1, push yourself, motivate yourself so you can get that. Like, it's got to be up to you if you want it or not. So I feel like how do you get that motivation is dependent on what your goals are and like what you want to be in life. So again, it's probably different for everybody, but again, how do you change from your parents pushing you to you pushing you? I feel like it's up to the person, right? How did you change, right?
I think for me, it was kind of like what you were saying, like maturity and like setting goals, which I think is very important. We'll get into that a little bit more. But it really comes from like, like there comes a point in your life, I think there's like a crossroads where you're like, do I just want to go with the flow and just kind of do what people tell me to do, or do I want to go do something that I want to do?
Exactly.
That
That's what
I
I'm
want,
saying,
you know,
like with
so
the
that's-
D1
yeah.
or the varsity or just listening to your parents. But yeah, that's exactly how I feel. It's like it gets to a point in your life, and I feel like a lot, like we're getting to that point right now, or maybe it's already passed. I feel like maybe for us it might have passed already, you know, because like we're about to graduate. So I mean, if we were gonna go D1, or if we were gonna, I don't know, start a business or have like an insane, like be the valedictorian of our class, that would have already happened, you know, like it's too late for us to do that now. But I mean, of course, when you get into college, right, then there's another crossroads, right? Do you want to get a master's? Do you want to like just get a job right out of college? Do you want to get a doctorate, you know? Do you want to get a PhD? Or like, do you even want to go to college, right? You want to go to like a trade school. So, I mean, that crossroad is definitely still coming for us, but we definitely have passed one already where it's like, have you decided what you want to do? And then have you set the goals that you want to do so you can reach whatever, you know, this thing you decided, right?
Yeah. So how do you go about like setting those goals? I know a lot of people, like there's this saying, like you overestimate what you can do in days and weeks and underestimate what you can do in months and years.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are extremely bad at setting goals. So what is some advice you'd give to someone who's like trying to set goals?
Right. First, I would definitely write them down so that you remember what you set. Like, I set some goals for me this year, like New Year's resolutions. Like, everybody's like cringy New Year's resolutions, but it's really not. Like, you definitely set New Year's resolutions because that is a great way to start the goals for that year. It's a great way to start the year, especially if you get started on those goals and you stay committed to them. Then that is one of the better ways to get started on your goals, right? But I mean, I would write them down, of course, and then each and every day just proactively try to get closer to your goal, right? I mean, you don't have to, like, especially with people like, I mean, use the gym as an example, but some people are like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds, right? And then they go crazy the first 2 weeks, right? First week, 2 weeks, they're like, oh, I'm going to eat like nothing, drink a bunch of water, go to the gym for like 2 hours a day. And then they get burnt out after those 2 weeks and stop, and they didn't lose 20 pounds. While instead, you could go like 45 minutes a day, slowly change your diet so it's not as much of a shock. And then if you stay consistent, 2 months, 3 months, however long, you'll probably lose that 20 pounds instead of the other way that people did it. So the way you set your goals, I would feel like, is you got to be consistent with what you're doing. Proactively do and get closer to your goal every day. But don't be too extreme about it, you know? Be smart about it. That's how I would do it.
Yeah, so when it comes to these goals, I think, you know, a lot of people, what they do is, it's not that they set unrealistic goals, but they set unrealistic parameters around their goals. Like the constraints on, you know, how long it's going to take for them to do it, or what resources they're going to use and that stuff. A lot of people under or overestimate those types of things. So I think a lot of it comes from like a realization of what you really can and really can't do. And a lot of people kind of just like, they're like, oh, you know, maybe I could try this. And I think one of the most important things is to not get discouraged, right? A lot of people, like, you know, for example, if you have a goal of like going to the gym five days a week, and one of the weeks you miss a day. Some people like will beat themselves up about it and will kind of like use that as an excuse to like go less, or like, oh, it's already over. Where it's as if like, instead it's like, no, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you should keep trying, keep striving for those goals. And that goes beyond just the gym, goes like in life in general.
Yeah, like you said with the, some people miss they're trying to go 5 days a week. They miss them 1 day, right? You miss that 1 day and you stress yourself out over it. And you're like, oh my God, like I can't get over this, right? And they get super stressed out and super focused on like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed 1 day. They get super stressed out. And then they like, let's say the next week they go 6 times to like make up for it. And then they get burned out, right? It's the same thing, like I said before, just about getting burned out, or just stay consistent. That's what really matters, right? Let's say you go 4 days a week. That one week, right? You missed 1 day. In the large scheme of things, right? 1 day doesn't really matter that much, right? Because let's say in a year you go 5 days a week, right? 52 weeks a year, right? That's what? 260 times?
Yep.
Is that right? Right. Yeah. You miss one time, right? Out of those 260 times, you went 259 instead of 260 times. That's not really that important, right? But it matters that you went that other 259 times. That's what's important. While if you instead of like, I mean, yeah, that's really what I was just trying to say. In the large scale of things, it doesn't matter as much. You got to look at your goals from, right? Of course, every single day you try to get closer to it. But in the large scale of things, you got to look at it as, okay, even if you missed a day, in the large scale of things, I'm still getting closer to my goal. That's what's really important. In the large scale of things, as long as you're always proactively getting closer, I feel like that is the best way to achieve your goals. Because some people are like, oh, I want to get this within a year. But in reality, if they get it within 5, it's still fine. If they get it within 5 years, it's still fine, right? Of course, that'd be like a more larger goal than something related to like losing 20 pounds. But as long as in the large scale of things, you're proactively getting closer to your goal, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, what they don't realize is you will not reach like 90% of the goals you make. There's a large number of goals that you will never reach, or you won't at least reach in the time that you want, or in the whatever. Like, it will take longer. A lot of them, some things you'll fail in. And I think it's okay. And I think a lot of people, they say, oh yeah, it's okay to fail, but they don't actually believe that it's okay to fail. A lot of people they're like, oh no, like, what am I gonna do? Like, they get really stressed out about it. A lot of people kind of work themselves up about it, but it's like, like it really is fine. So kind of going back to like the consistency thing, like, how do you stay consistent? It's actually, I think the hardest thing is consistency. So how exactly do you maintain that consistency?
With achieving my goals?
Yeah, in general, yeah.
So, like I was saying before, I mean, I'm going to be kind of hypocritical when I say this, but I was like, you shouldn't really stress about missing one time. But like me, I always want to be doing the most, So for me, like, how do I stay consistent? It's like I said earlier when you said, how do you have motivation for your self-motivation? It's just, I feel like the reason I stay consistent is because it would be a disservice to myself if I didn't. Like, same with the gym, right? I've come this far. I've been this consistent. Why would I stop now? That's the reason I stay consistent in the gym. Or with my job, I've worked this many hours. I've made yada yada amounts of money. Why would I stop now? I've already been consistent. Why would I stop being consistent? If you're talking about why would I be consistent in the beginning, that's a different story. Well, in the beginning, right, I feel like when you start something new, you start a new goal, that's when you have the most excitement about the goal, right? You're like, oh my God, I can't wait to get started. I can't wait to reach this goal, right? That's when you should really be able to stay consistent the easiest, because you're going to want the goal. Well, I wouldn't say you're going to want the goal the most. I feel like if you really set a goal that you want to achieve, the entire time that you're trying to achieve the goal, you want it equally the same, right? But when you set the goal in the beginning, it's fresh, right? It's a new thing. So you should be more excited to do it. Therefore, staying consistent should be quite easy. Of course, if it's a challenging goal, then yeah, I mean, it might be a little harder to stay consistent, right? If it's like, I want to, something random out there. I want to bench 500 pounds, right? Something ridiculously hard, right? I want to bench 500 pounds. If you stay consistently benching, right? Dude, I just blanked on what I was going to say. Let's say you start at like 300, right? You want to stay consistent trying to reach that goal. So you bench 2 times a week, right? In the beginning, it's going to be hard because maybe before you were benching once a week, right? But then once you get used to it, stay consistent. So, I mean, there's 2 kind of polar opposites way of it, right? It could either be in the beginning, it's easy to stay consistent because it's fresh and new. Or if it's a really hard goal, it'd be hard to stay consistent in the beginning because it's like a shock to your schedule, to your system. So I feel like if you really want the goal and you really want to achieve your goal, you're going to stay consistent no matter what. So I feel like sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like if you set a goal and you don't really want it, then you're not going to stay consistent, right? I mean, like, if you truly want something, right? Like, I say this to Shervin all the time. Shout out Shervin. I say this to Shervin all the time. He's trying to lose weight. I'm always like, how bad do you want it? If you want a goal, how bad do you want it? That will prove how consistent you are. How bad do you want it? That's really the most important thing. Like, how bad do you want it?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think the how bad do you want it is extremely important. I think a lot of people kind of, like, a lot of people like do stuff without like fully wanting it. But even for those people that truly want it and truly put in the effort, there are times where like you want to quit. So how do you deal with, those times where it's like you want to quit? Like, how do you kind of get past that?
How do I get past? Well, again, it has to do with my goals, right? When times get hard and I'm struggling, right? I look at the goal. I look at what I want and what I set myself to do. And I look back at how far I've come to my goal, right? Like I said before, with the consistency. If I've come this far and been this consistent, why am I going to stop now, right? So when it gets hard, that's the hardest point, right? Is when it gets hard. Because it's so easy to quit. You could stop right there, go back, you'd be fine, right? I mean, would really anybody hold you accountable for it? No, right?
No.
That is the hardest mental part of it, right? Because not only it's hard, but it's really easy to quit. So I just look back. Look, I've done this. I've gotten this close to reaching the goal. Or I've gone proactively every step of the way, gotten closer, right? Why would I stop now? I know it gets hard. Everything, nothing that you want will be easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
If it was easy, everybody would do it, right? You set that goal, probably knowing it was going to be hard. Why would you stop then? You've come this far. You've achieved this much. How bad do you want it, really? If you don't really want it, you wouldn't have set the goal. And you wouldn't have done all of that. So when times get hard, how bad do you want it? That's what I literally say that to myself. How bad do you want it? If you really want it, you'll stay consistent. So, I mean, that's what you're asking me, right? How do in times of hardships, how do I keep going? I mean, I just look back, see what I've done already, see how far I've pushed myself, see how much I have improved. And I know in the beginning I set the goal and that it was going to be hard, but it is what it is, right? I set the goal. I want to achieve it. I mean, I really think about it. Like, I set this goal. I want to achieve it. I've come this far. If I quit now, I'm a loser. That's the last thing I want to be. I don't know about you, but that's the last thing I want to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really how I look at it.
I mean, there's a quote I saw about quitting. It's like when you want to quit the most is when you're one step away from the finish line, right? So many times, there's so many times I've wanted to quit this podcast, but it's like the best things happen right after you want to quit. It's kind of weird how that works. It's almost like it's almost like there's like a reward to pushing past things, which is obviously true. And I think when it comes to quitting, the easiest way to get over that feeling of wanting to quit is kind of like what you said, looking back at where you started at, how much you've came. And I think or how far you've came, sorry. And I think a lot of people, lose sight of that. A lot of people kind of forget about where they started, and they forget about, where they are now, and they forget about the journey. A lot of people, there's actually a TikTok trend now. I'm on TikTok, but I heard about this, where it's people will show a video of them like in the gym, for example, doing a certain way, and it's man, I can't get this up for 7, and they show a picture of them
however long ago, and they couldn't even do it for 1.
Exactly.
Or they couldn't even do half that weight for 1.
Yeah, and
I know what you're talking about.
The former self asking wait, you can even do that in the first place. And it's a good reminder. Obviously it's a silly trend, but it's honestly a really good reminder for us, where it's when we sit down and we look at who we are now, and we're man, can't figure this out, can't get this together, can't do that. It's just really good for us to look back and think 2-3 years ago, not even a year ago, 6 months ago,
a month ago,
a
week ago, a day ago, you were less of the person you were. Right now, I am less of a person I was yesterday, and the person I was yesterday is more of a person than the person I was the day before. Every single day, you should proactively try to become a better person, right? Whether that be making more money, right? Just in general, even become a better, just in general person, right? You're nicer to people. It doesn't really matter. Just every single day, you should try to become the best version of yourself, and better than you were yesterday, which I guess is this better version of yourself. But every single day, you should strive to be the best version of yourself. And if you do that, then every day you should become a better person. It doesn't matter. Like you were saying, oh yeah, yesterday or 7 months ago, 6 months ago, I couldn't get that weight. It doesn't matter. Even if you can't, let's say today I go to the gym and I bench 225 pounds for 5. And tomorrow I go and bench 225 pounds for 5. It doesn't seem like I've improved. But in reality, I have, right? because of course I'm not going to jump in weight, right? I'm not going to have drastic increases in whatever it be every day, right? But you're proactively getting closer. So as long as you're working towards that goal, like you were saying, doesn't really matter what it is every day, then you are becoming a better person, right? Like you said, like I was saying before, the day before, doesn't matter. As long as you proactively improve yourself, I feel like you will become a better person. Your goals will be met. It's just a matter of time. Like, as long as you stay consistent, like you said, look back. When times are hard, look back, see that everything you've gone through, see how hard times have, like, look, times might be hard now, but they might have been harder before, right? You got to really take things into perspective. And another thing, you say, how do I have motivation? How do I stay consistent? Look, things might be hard for me, right? But I know things are harder out there for other people.
Yeah.
I know for a fact. I have it easy compared to the other people, right? So I might be struggling because, I haven't lost any weight, or I haven't gotten any stronger. I haven't made as much money as I want to. Doesn't matter. There are people out there struggling more than you. So you have it easy. Of course, there are people out there that probably don't, but you got to really look into perspective. Just always look at it from the bigger picture, I feel like. Have perspective, I just feel like that's the easiest way to stay grounded and to stay consistent, of course, and to achieve your goals. It's just stay grounded, be realistic, right? And just proactively pursue your goal each and every day. Just try to get better.
And I think like another thing, like you mentioned, like so many people have it worse, and so many people, if they were in your spot, would do anything to get that goal done.
Yeah.
There's so many people out there who are just so, unfortunate, but they would go through 120 times more than what you do just to get the same results. So it's very important for us to understand and realize that, like we do have it all, and we are able to do all these things. Like I know, for example, like in my spot, with the podcast, like there are people out there that if they had this ability to have this equipment and to have this, time to do this thing, they would put in way more effort than I could ever possibly put in. So I have to, the most I can, put as much effort as I can every single day. So it's always a good reminder to think about what other people would do if they were in your shoes. Because there's just, there's 8 billion people on the planet. Someone can do it better than you.
Yeah, 100%. And that is another reason to stay motivated, right? Someone can do it better than you, but they might not be able to work harder than you, right? And there probably is someone who works harder than you, but what is that? But look, you also said before, right? You might not have it all, right? I think that's what you said. Like, you might not have everything you want, but you can have everything you want as long as you work for it. I feel like as long as you work for something, you can achieve it. If you put your all and you put all your effort into something, truly all your effort, not what you think all your effort is, truly all your effort. Like, you cannot put any more of your energy, right? You cannot physically do anything more. You can achieve whatever you want. Truly.
No,
right. Okay. Of course, there's some, like I said before, you got to be realistic, right? I'm not going to make it to the NBA no matter how hard I practice basketball, right? We got to be realistic. But man, I could be a billionaire if I really put my mind to it. If I put my all to it, yeah. Right? I could do it. We all can. You can. She can. Anybody in the world can, really, if they put their mind to it. So I feel like as long as you truly push yourself to become the best version of yourself, like I said before, you can achieve whatever you want. So it doesn't matter what you're bound by. Just do it.
Yeah. So how do you get that push?
What do you mean?
Like, how do you develop that like drive and that push to actually put your all into it? Because I know it's like easy to say, like, oh, just put your all into it. But where do you find that to really dig deep and push through everything and really put yourself in that position? Like, how do you find that? I guess, I mean, again, that goes back to like, how do you find self-motivation? But it's like, what are some techniques or some like skills or things you can do to kind of develop that ability to really like push yourself? Or is it just something that you just kind of like learn how to do?
I mean, right, there's probably, Well, you won't really know that you fully push yourself until you've done it, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta have passion over what you're doing. You have to truly enjoy what you're doing. You have to have a reason to push yourself all the way, right? If you're comfortable in the way you're living, you'll never push yourself to your max, right? That's why we see, right, a lot of people who, right, professional athletes, right, who grew up in poor neighborhoods, right, and they had to make it out. Like, they had to. Otherwise, they were going to stay poor and stay in these neighborhoods. They made it. They pushed their hardest to make it out, right? So I feel like if you're comfortable in the way you're living, you probably won't push yourself to the complete max because, hey, I live in this nice house. I have food and water all the time whenever I want. Plenty of money. I don't kind of struggle about that. I'm going to college, so where is the real point in me pushing? But even if you are like that, you can still 100% want it. Like, I guess it also depends on the person, right? There's some people that just, don't really care, right? Whatever, I'm gonna just chill at home. You have to be a certain type of, like, you have to have that certain type of mentality that you're like, I'm gonna put my all into this no matter what. And like, there's no, have you ever heard the thing, like, people are like, there's no plan B. Plan A or I'm done,
Yeah.
So how do you get that push? I don't know. Like, me in the gym, I'm like, okay, one more rep, 2 more reps. I really think about it. I'm like, look, you wouldn't have been able to do this 6 months ago, a year ago, like I said before. So like you said, that's what you said, the TikTok trend. So I just look back and see how far I've come. And with that, see how far I can go. That's another reason I push, because, hey, I've come this far. Let's see how far we can take it. Like, how far can we go? How big can we get? How strong can we get, right? Or when it comes to having a job, making money, like, I've made this much. Oh, let's see how much more we can make. Let's see how much money I can save. Let's see how many products I can sell. Like, I've sold this many. Let's see how many more. I've gotten this many views. Let's see how many more. I've made this many videos. Let's see how many more. I've gotten this famous person. Let's see how many more, right? With you, with the podcast. Yeah. I got Waka Flocka. Who else, right? I got, right. I benched 225. How much more, right? When first time I benched 225, I thought I was going to be like, oh my God, let's go. I hit 225. Yes, I was very excited that I hit 225. But the next thing I wanted to do was hit 250. The minute I hit 225, I was like, I got to hit 250. And then I hit 250, I was like, I got to hit 300. Still haven't hit that. It doesn't really matter. I don't really care about that anymore. But it's just, you gotta look back, see what you started, and see where you can go. I feel like that's the biggest push is, what potential do I have, and will I fulfill it? And with that, if you see that you have potential, and you don't give that push, you don't give it your all, then you just, I don't know, that's your loss, I feel like, again, you got to want it. I feel like I don't really, do you know what pushes you?
I think for me, like, kind of what pushes me is like, it's kind of like my parents' sacrifice.
I was about to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I was about to say that. I completely blanked on it. Look, are my ancestors looking down on me right now? Would they be proud of what I did? Would they be satisfied, or not satisfied? Yeah, but would they be proud of what I have accomplished? Would my parents, who moved us from Brazil to Switzerland and from Switzerland to the U.S. so I could live a better life, would that sacrifice have paid off? Them moving here, them moving away from their family, they're moving their jobs. Would their sacrifice have paid off? It has to. For me, if I don't make that sacrifice worthy, I'm a bad kid. I'm a bad son, right? They did all of that so I can live a better and more successful life in America. I have to. That is they did that. They made that sacrifice for me. Now I got to make that sacrifice for them.
Yeah.
It goes both ways, right? And another thing that gives me that push is if I'm 80 years old on my deathbed, I don't want to be there like, damn, I could have accomplished more. Damn, I didn't give it my all. I don't want to be like, man, it was a good life, but Could have worked harder. Could have been better. Could have, whatever it is. I don't want to think that. I don't want to think I didn't do enough. Right? I also saw this thing David Goggins said. He said, what if you die and you're waiting by the gates of heaven, and there's a I don't know if it was a screen or something, and you're talking to God, and on the screen was like I don't know if you know his story, but he used to be like a animal exterminator.
Yeah.
Like insect exterminator. So what if it was 300-pound insect exterminator, David Goggins talking to God, and on this screen said, Navy SEAL, world record pull-up holder, motivational speaker, saved thousands of lives. And he says to God, God, that's not me. And God says, yeah, but that's what you could have been. That's what you could have been. I don't want that to happen to me. I go to talk to God, and I work the 9 to 5 at, I don't know, it's selling insurance, right? Not to diss anybody who sells insurance, but that's just an example, right? I work a 9 to 5. I make $30,000 a year selling insurance. I'm talking to God. I'm like, God, that's not me. That's not me. Super successful, healthy, saving lives. Yeah, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Whatever you view as success, right there, that's you. And God says, no, but that could have been you. That could have been you if you put your all to it. That could have been you if you really tried for it. I don't want that to happen to me. I don't know about you. I want to be what God thinks I can be, what God knows I can be. I got to put myself to it. Yeah. In a way, I talk to God. I don't know about you, but I talk to God on the daily. That's a way I push myself.
Yes. So that's something else I wanted to get into is like, obviously like, so for me, like personally, it comes from, a lot of it comes from like my parents' sacrifice, right? Obviously my parents moved from Egypt to here, and it's like, my parents are extremely successful. Like, who am I if I'm not at least as successful as them? Like, I'm lazy if I don't. Like, they came from literally nothing here to where they are now. I have to at least, even if I match that, it's not enough. I have to do better.
Yeah, they set us. Sorry to interrupt you. They set like same with my parents, right? They moved here. They're successful. They figured it out.
Yeah,
they figured it out. So can I, because I'm in better situations than they were, because they blessed me with success. Like they had success. Now they're helping me, right? If I can't at least, like you said, be as successful as them, then I'm just like, I'm not gonna say loser again, but basically, yeah. They gave you the opportunity. They're giving us more opportunities than they were given.
Yeah.
If I can't be as successful as them, what am I doing?
I agree 100%. And like it goes on like an even bigger sacrifice, right? The biggest sacrifice of all. You think of God coming down, becoming man, dying for us. Like, if that's not enough to motivate you, I don't really know what is. But you just, you think about like all that. He gave us all this. You look around, every single thing around you is from him. And it's like, what can I do to serve his creation to return at least 0.0001% of that? And it's so important. I think a lot of people, obviously there's a lot of atheists, especially now in America, a lot of, people who are, kind of like leaving the Christian faith. And it's extremely, extremely important, to realize that this is not your own doing. And I think it's something else that's extremely underrated when it comes to self-motivation is removing the pressure from yourself. A lot of people are like a very atheist thought is everything I do is of my own work. Everything I do is because I worked hard, it's because I did this, because I did that. Just think about how much pressure that puts on you to do better. I put all this work, I'm the reason why, I can do it. That's just not true, right? 100%, there's no way in my own power I could have done 50 episodes of a podcast. There's no way. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Through all the ups and downs of it, like through the, 90 view videos to the, 2,500 view videos to, having a host to not having a co-host, like all these things, changing equipment, changing places, not having a set location, like all these different ups and downs.
People bailing on you, yada, yada, yada. Dude, I agree 100%. I feel like having faith is one of the easiest, I'm not going to say easiest ways, but it is one of the best ways to stay motivated, right? Because let's say you're going through hard times. You ask, like, how do you keep pushing when you're going through hard times? I just talk to God. I'm like, hey, God, I know that I'm going through hard times right now. I know times are hard, but I know that whatever I'm going through, it's what you have planned for me. And I know that you have what's best what's best for me in place. Like, I know that you have what's best for me in mind. So I know that whatever I'm going through, it's what's best for me because it's what you put me through, you know? So, like, if I'm going through hard times, I just talk to God. I'm like, hey, God, I know times are hard, but I know that's what I know that's what you put in place for me, regardless of whether it's times are good, times are bad. I know that God is looking out for me, and I know that I'll be all right because I know God is there, you know? Like, thank you, you know? Just thank you, God, because I know that whatever's going on, you've got it. It's because of you, you know? And you're not going to do anything bad for me, you know? God is good all the time. So I feel like that's one of the best, right? The same thing with pressure. Atheists are like, oh, it's all because of me. All me, right? Nah. Pressure, it's much easier with God on your side, I feel like. At least it is for me. Times are hard. Hey, God. Times are hard, I talk to God. Times are good, I talk to God. Doesn't matter, right? Times are hard, I'm like, hey, God. I know times are hard, but I know you're there for me. And I can always talk to you. And I know you've got what's best in mind for me, so I'm not stressed about it, right? It's a pressure release because I know I'll be okay. I don't know if you feel the same way about that, but
same way, 100%.
It's like you said with the atheists, there's a lot of, or like not even an atheist, but someone who's not as you know, doesn't believe as much in their faith and doesn't really, but like, okay, yeah, I guess it would be an atheist, but just people who aren't as religious, like just don't have that, right? Where you can be like, I know I'm going to be okay because God is there for me. So I feel like that does release a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's just like a weight off your shoulders, you know, like I know I'm going to be okay. I know I'm going to be fine.
100%. And I also think like it goes like to another point where, you know, in these, you know, atheistic thoughts where it's like, I did all this, you know, it's so hard. It honestly, it makes it extremely, extremely hard to kind of figure out like who you are.
Yeah. And I feel like sorry to interrupt you again, but you're like, when the atheist is like, oh, it's all me, like you become arrogant and cocky.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
So it can get in the way of like, it can just inhibit you from a lot of things because of the way that you think. You're like, all me. It can definitely get in the way of your success. Because somebody might, like, let's say you think, oh, it's all me, all me, all me, all me. Someone who could very much help you in a situation, whether it be a mentor, someone who has more knowledge in whatever subject you're going into, because you think you're arrogant and you're cocky and you did all this by yourself, you might not be willing to go out there and ask for help. Or even if they reach out and they're like, hey, I would love to mentor you, be like, no. It is a help and a community that can support you is the best thing that there is, right? So you should always be willing to receive help, and you should also always give out help to people who know less, right? I feel like being very arrogant and cocky, right, because you're, whether it be an atheist or whatever, just because you think you did it all by yourself, can be a large disservice to yourself because you're not willing to accept help from other people. You're like, no, I got this, all me. When in reality, that could really hinder your success, you know?
Yeah, and to go off that, like, that point of, like, always giving to others and helping others, I think by going out and helping others, you find sources of motivation for yourself in those situations. Whether that's, like, mission trips, which I'm a big proponent of. Like, mission trips are, like, I would, like, suggest every single person goes on a mission trip, like, before they turn, like, 21. And whether it's mission trips, whether it's just people around you, whatever it is, you know, it's extremely, extremely important because you learn just so much about humanity, you learn so much about yourself, about God, and it kind of helps you learn how to motivate yourself. That's where I learned, you know, the fact that there's kids in Africa, you know, that if they were put in my spot right now, that would work way harder than I could ever imagine working, you know? So it's those experiences and those things and helping people that, you know, really kind of pushes you. And, you know, as the church is entering the season of Lent right now, that's extremely important. You know, one of the biggest parts of Lent is helping others. So obviously, you know, a quick plug to go help other people. But it's always good to always be in that kind of like spirit of giving and giving back to your community, giving back because
you never know what you're going to get in return.
Exactly.
And you shouldn't go into it looking like, oh, I expect something in return. Never. should always just help. I mean, it feels good. It feels good to help other people. I don't know about you, but and that also shouldn't be the reason you do it. You should just do it because you want to help them, right? But I'm saying helping is a great way. Helping other people is a great way to see that you are very fortunate. And that also gives you a reason to be motivated, right? Look, right, I want to help people now. This is just an example, but let's say I want to help people now. I want to donate this amount of money, but I don't have that. So let me grind so I can later in life donate even more money, right? Or go out, right? So I don't have to, right? Let me make this whatever. Let me be successful so that I can quit my job and then go serve at an orphanage or go feed homeless people wherever, so I can have the time to help other people. That can be a very big motivator, right? And you also said kids in Africa would, if they were in my place, they would work so hard. Not even in Africa, kids in America, kids in there are definitely kids in Atlanta that put in our position would grind.
I agree 100%. Just an extreme example.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, and when it comes to self-motivation, motivating yourself, a lot of times it is hard to find the self-motivation, as we've said multiple times. But the key factor, I think, is always remembering what your place in the world is, what your, what your divine design is, what your purpose is, right? And I think they're two very connected things. I think for me, when I figured out what my purpose was and what my worth was about the same time when I figured out how to motivate myself, right? So kind of to shift the conversation a little bit, like finding who you are is extremely important. So how would you, give advice to people who are trying to figure out who they are? Sorry to get deep on you, but
no, it's all good. Trying to figure out who they are. Well, I mean, I feel like you should always be yourself, right? I know there's a lot of people who put on a facade or put on a different personality when they're out in public because they just want to be accepted by society, right? I feel like that is possibly the worst thing you can do for yourself. I don't know. Have you ever seen the movie American Psycho?
No, I don't watch movies. I know, uncultured.
Okay, so it's basically just quick, so because it's a good example of what you're trying to say. It's this man. His name is Patrick Bateman. He works at a company, right? And basically, he puts on a facade because he wants to be accepted by society, and he just goes crazy because that's not who he is, right? That's not who he wants to be either. And even when he tries to show that who he actually is, people don't take him seriously, right? I feel like it's kind of a play on what's it called? Like modern America and the consumer culture and everything, and like corporate life, right? Where everybody's the same. I feel like you gotta be yourself. 100%. Do not put on a face. Do not put on a facade. Be yourself. Be truly who you want to be, right? Whether that be who you like, how you dress, what you do with your spare time, what job you do. Like, just do what you want to do. It's your life. It's your life, right? It's not your parents' life. Well, right at our age, we have some boundaries, right? But when later in life, it's not your best friend's life. It's not your girlfriend's life. It's not anybody else. It's not your boss's life. It's your life. You make your decisions. You choose what you do. If you let other people change what you do, I don't even know what to say. You're not yourself, right? You're a puppet. You're basically a puppet. You're being controlled by other people because they're deciding what you do, right? That's basically it. I'm just saying, like, you got to be yourself. That is the most important thing. If you change the way you act because you want to be liked, are you really liked?
That's a good point. And I would argue that, like, in modern day America, there's this big push for being yourself, but it's not actually being yourself.
It's not actually being yourself. Yeah. It's being what people think is yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. And obviously, it's one of the things this podcast is about, which is the truth. It's one of my main things in life is always to promote the truth, no matter what it does, right? Because in reality, the truth does set you free, right? It sets you, like, it gives you the real freedom, the true freedom, instead of, what people like to call freedom. But that's a different topic. But I agree 100%. And I think that, in order to find your purpose, you have to be yourself. And in order to be yourself, you have to figure out, like, kind of like who you are in the grand scheme of things. Not necessarily like your purpose, but like kind of your identity. And a lot of people, when it comes to identity, like we have an identity crisis right now in modern society, where a lot of people don't understand. Like,
what does that even mean, dude?
I'm
Like
getting
identity crisis, but like,
I'm getting there. Where it's a lot of people, they put their identity in objects. They put their identity into things. For example, there's people who put their identity into their career, right? Their identity rests on their career. Their identity rests on their fame. Their identity rests on their success,
yada,
stuff like that. Whereas, going back to the Christian mindset, like, your identity should rest on who God is. And by doing that, you are able to free yourself from that pressure of feeling that you have to be in control of everything, right? Because how crazy would it be if we had to live life thinking that humans could control everything? Like, think about, like, something that you can understand has to control everything. You know how scary that is? Like, you can't physically understand everything, so how are you going to understand something that can control everything, right? So that's why believing in God is so relieving, because you can put your trust in something that you cannot physically understand, something that is beyond time, beyond humanity, beyond
anything.
Beyond everything.
Like, we can't explain it.
Exactly. So by doing that, you relieve yourself of that pressure, so that being self-motivated is just astronomically easier. So that's why I think when it comes to, like, identity and people talking about, you need to go find yourself, or go, what is it? What's the psychedelic thing where it's like, what is it, like, try to find yourself or whatever? Like a psychedelic campaign.
What?
You never heard of this?
Psychedelic. No, what'd you say? Psychedelic what?
Like a psychedelic campaign, like find your true self, or what is it?
Wait, like, you go on a psychedelic what? Like, you take psychedelics?
Yeah, there's like this, like, new thing where people like it's like a psychedelic advertisement, where it's like to, like, find your true self. I don't know. I forgot what it is. George, can you look this up real quick? You know what I'm talking about? Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's like you ever seen those, like, psychedelic ads, and it's like find your true self or whatever? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't
get
get
the people who
are
are
you
like,
talking about, like, those people that go on, like, the
But actually, is that what it is?
it depends what psychedelic, right? I mean, I've heard of people that, like, go on, like, these journeys to take psychedelics, right? No, I'm not saying like mental no, but like people go to, like, oh yeah, like, I'm gonna go take ayahuasca in Mexico, in like the middle of the desert, and learn and find my true self. Like, I've heard people do that, like.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Where it's like, but people use these things to, like, find out what their identity is, but it's not an identity. Like, it's like that fake kind of, like, facade persona, where it's like, whatever that is for you. But kind of going back to the topic of, like, self-motivation, it obviously that self-motivation can come from many different things. But, like, what are kind of, like, the effects? Obviously they're all positive, but, like, what are specifically the effects of being, like, self-motivated versus motivated by those around you?
Oh, it's so much more satisfying when you reach whatever you. Yeah, when you reach whatever, when you are when you set your own goal and you reach it, that was all you, right? Of course, that's kind of hypocritical with what we said before, like, about the atheist thing. It's all you. Of course, you did that with you and through God, correct? But you weren't influenced by other people. It was purely your decision, right? While if you achieve goals that other people set for you, it might be more satisfying that you, how do I word this? It will be more satisfying that they no longer push you to reach that goal than you actually reaching the goal. Do you get what I'm saying? While if it's your own goal, then, like, man, there's no greater feeling.
Yeah. It's like the difference between like achieving the goal versus like getting rid of the person's like influence.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. That's what I meant. Like, right, achieving another person's goal will get them off. Will get them to stop pestering you about that said goal more, and that will be more satisfying to you than achieving said goal. Right. The reason you achieve that goal would be so they would stop talking to you about achieving that goal, compared to if you achieve your own goal. Like, yes, let's go. I actually like the satisfaction will be insignificantly better. And the goal is actually yours. That's what you want, right? That's not what other people want for you.
Yeah, and I think to add on to that, like, you know, when you're self-motivated and you push yourself and you're self-motivated, it completely allows you to like kind of like not like push away people, but it allows you to focus in on your goals more, right? When it's like it's me, like my goals, like my thing. You know, a lot of times people like do this thing where it's like, don't tell anyone your goals. Right? Because when you start telling people your goals, you know, things start to like change and happen. And that's kind of true. You know, so when you have those goals and it's for yourself and you're doing it for you, you know, it's very similar to like, you know, like when Christ says like do your works in secret, you know, so your Father in heaven knows, but it's not important that you'll be rewarded openly, right? You do them in secret, you'll be rewarded openly. So it's kind of that same thing where it's like, you know, I work on myself. Not everyone has to know that I'm working on myself. But those rewards will be seen in open world. For example, if I, you know, work out to kind of, you know, to increase my anger management, you know, to lower, you know, how angry I get really quickly. If I work out to do that, I don't have to tell everyone why I'm working out, right? I don't have to tell everyone, oh, I'm working out to do that. Just, you know, I'm working out, whatever. But over time, people will notice that, hey, this dude's not, you know, getting pissed anymore. He's not blowing up in our faces every 5 minutes. He's really toning it down. Right, so that's like that open reward. You know, another example of you make up tons of examples of, you know, like different things you can do to kind of get results that people will see. So I think that's one of the very underrated aspects of motivating yourself and pushing yourself is that, you know, you can improve yourself in so many facets, in so many ways, just by doing, you know, a very simple thing like working out, that people will see every single part of that reward for it.
Yeah, 100%. And you said before, like, a lot of people, you said keep your goals secret, right? Keep them to yourself. I feel like a lot of people tell other people their goals just so that when they achieve their goals, they can just go out and like tell, oh, like I did this, I did that, I did that. And then did you truly want to get that goal, or did you only want to reach that so you could tell other people and brag about it? So like you said, you got to keep it secret, right? One for yourself, right? So that's basically it. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
And I like that point you made where it's like, did you actually do it because of yourself, or did you really do it just to, you know, show off or tell other people or whatever, you know? And I think a lot of people, you know, hate to say it, but a lot of people do that thing, and that's not really self-motivation. That's like a fake self. It's like external, you know, because you just want the satisfaction of others and attention from others. So
100%. I agree with that.
So self-motivation is extremely important. You have any last thoughts?
No, you?
Nah, man.
I mean, I'll keep going. If you got another topic you want to talk about, I'll go. Nothing.
What are we at on time? Yeah, like what's the red thing say? No, on the laptop. Bottom right. 57.
It was an hour?
Yeah, that was
pretty
quick.
good.
Jesus.
That didn't feel like an hour.
I felt like every time, man, you're on here. Like the last one was an hour and a half. It felt like 20
The last
minutes.
one was long, dude.
Well, we talked about so many things, about aliens and I don't know what else.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, you know what? You're a perfect person to talk to about this. I've been wanting to talk about this on the podcast. You know what? We'll go for it. The random UFO balloons and
The
stuff
Chinese,
off the coast of Alaska or whatever. What are your thoughts on that?
Which one?
Let's
so there was the
say-
Chinese spy balloon.
Yeah, and then there was the UFO.
There was
thing.
a UFO.
Yeah, there's like
Did it crash somewhere?
No, like they like shot it down, but they like couldn't figure out what it was or something.
So I
But
heard
there's
there
a
were like
theory.
3 spy balloons.
Yeah.
There was one in Latin America. There was one what is it, Alaska?
One in like Alaska or something, and one.
And then I heard there was another one. And then I didn't hear about this.
No, but so apparently this UFO thing was, like over Canada-ish area.
Oh, like
right?
the U.S. Canadian
Yeah,
border.
yeah.
I heard that.
And it was like, apparently there's a theory that it was just a balloon with a GPS marker on it, and they used a $400,000 missile to
I
shoot
heard
it down.
that. I did hear that, and it was like a balloon from this
It's like club or something.
this club. Yeah, I heard that.
Okay,
I heard that.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I feel like in terms of national security, I mean, definitely shoot it down because I mean, there was that spy balloon. That spy balloon was
Yeah, the spy balloon
that
was
was
real,
definitely,
yeah.
and I feel like if that balloon had gone up, right, the UFO one in the U.S. Canadian border, if that had gone up 3 months ago before the Chinese spy balloon, it
would've
probably
left it
wouldn't
alone.
have been shot down by a $400,000 missile. But considering it was around the same time as the Chinese spy balloon and the other balloon over Latin America, I feel like, what is the government going to do? Let it keep flying?
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the only thing they can do is really shoot it down. $400,000 missile? I
That's
don't know.
kinda crazy, yeah.
But again,
What do you think about the Chinese saying they have their own spy balloon over their country? At the same time.
that we had one over their country? Or that
Well,
they had one
just
over their own?
They had one over there. They don't know if it was theirs or who. They said
There
it's not
was
theirs.
there was
Like,
a
there was
balloon
a
over
balloon.
China?
Yeah.
I don't know. There probably was. If the Chinese are going to have one over us, why would we not have one over them?
Yeah.
You know?
So that UFO thing is not aliens, you don't think?
I mean, if you said it was a...
I mean,
if you
that's
said
a theory.
Well,
It's a theory.
I mean, it could
They
be.
still haven't found it.
It could be. It could be. It could definitely be a unidentified flying object. Again, it could also be a balloon. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think the people, right, there is such strong racism, sexism. There's such conflicting, like people don't like peoples of other cultures, people of different races, people of different genders. Nobody is like in our country or in any other country, right? Not everybody is accepted. So why would anybody accept aliens? If you think about it, right?
Well, here's my theory. If aliens can
No,
come
no.
to our,
Just,
can
let me.
come to us,
Sorry.
and we don't even know where they are.
Let me
like, we're
finish what I
done
was saying.
anyways.
Just let me
Go
finish what I
ahead.
was going to say. Right. Nobody is truly accepted in our there, of course, right? But like, we can't all. We're not all humans. Like we are, but we're not all viewed as humans, right? There are Americans, Chinese. If we're
I see what you're
fighting,
saying, yeah.
if we're fighting within one another, right? Which we are, Russia, Ukraine, right? And we can't all accept each other as equal. Why would the U.S. government or any government of any sort release the fact that aliens exist? It doesn't matter what they look at. Why would they release the fact that species from other planets, in whether it be our solar system or our galaxy, why would they release the fact that those exist? We already have hatred for our own species.
Yeah, that's a good
Why
point.
would they release that when all we would probably do is just want to get into war with them, right?
Yeah.
I don't think we will truly know the truth about aliens, whether they exist or they don't. I don't think we'll truly know the truth until we can accept each other, right? Because the U.S. says, oh, aliens are real. Here's a picture of them. They've been here multiple times, right? People can be like, yo, no, we don't like them. Like, blah, 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 blah. If they come back, we're killing them, right? Instead of, oh, let's be peaceful with them. Let's make good relations with them. Let's spread our knowledge, our information, right? Let's go visit where they're from. They can come here. We can intermingle, right? Instead of us living like in Star Wars, where they're all on one planet. There's multiple planets. Instead, we're gonna try to find where they're from. We're gonna go to their planet. We're probably gonna bomb it, and then all the rich people are gonna go there and they extract all the minerals, and then we're gonna come back. That's it. Look, all they just want to do is make money. They're probably gonna kill them, find a way to make money from the aliens. That's a fact right there.
Well, my point is, if aliens can come to our planet and have
I'd want
interstellar
them. I'd want
travel,
them here, bro. I'd want them here.
and we don't even know where they're from, we're done for. Like we're not
Exactly.
humans.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. Piggybacking on what you just said, right? Any government would tell us, oh, aliens are real, blah blah blah. Here's where they're from. They'd be like, yeah, dude. Next time they come here, we're gonna fight them. We're gonna kill them.
I'm not.
No, whatever. Like, because
Yeah, yeah. I
Like I
get
said
you.
before, people can't accept people of other races or genders. Why would they
Yeah.
accept aliens, right? They're going to come back. We're going to be like, hey, next time they come back, bomb them or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're going to do that. They're going to, whatever they do, they're not going to get affected by that, whatever bomb that we drop on
we're
them.
done.
And they're going to absolutely rail us. We're going to just get rocked. They're going to have some type of bomb, because if they can come to us, and we don't even have any sort of idea where they're from, their technology is far more advanced than ours. That's why we should collaborate. We should share knowledge and share just information so that we can have that technology, so I can go to that planet and see what it's like. I'm trying to see that. That would be sick.
So if any aliens are watching, there's your pitch to not kill all
Please,
of
yo,
us.
slide. I'm not dropping my address. I was about to drop my address. I live somewhere in Atlanta, Georgia. Your technology is good enough to find me. Come scoop me. Let's go. Let's go to your planet. I'm trying to see what it's like.
All right. I think that's going to be all.
That's it?
Felipe, for joining
No
the
more
podcast.
alien thoughts? No more alien
I
thoughts?
think we're good for the day.
Dude, you ever heard of the Hollow Earth theory?
All right, we're done.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All right, dude, thank you so much for having me on here.
No,
It
thank
was
you
a
for
pleasure.
coming on again. Appreciate it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. And see you next week. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.